Good morning and welcome back to Mobility Matters. I'm your host, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, or CITT. We're the quasi-independent agency of Miami-Dade County charged with overseeing your half-penny sales tax for transportation. So as we've discussed various times on this program, the CITT is really composed of a 15-member board of volunteer citizens from all walks of life who are appointed by the mayor of Miami-Dade County, the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, and the 13 county commissioners. So with us today, we have the new chair of the CITT, one of those 15 members, who's representing District 5, or Commissioner Eileen Higgins' district, on the trust, Mary Street. Mary, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
I should say welcome back, because you've been on once before, right? In our old studios?
That's right, with Eileen Higgins, actually.
That's right.
Yep.
So, Mary, first of all, congratulations on being appointed chair. I think it's a huge honor, and just shows the level of trust that the trust members have in you. So congrats.
Thank you. It is a huge honor. I'm really excited.
And you've worked kind of your way into the role. Prior to that, I believe you were first vice chair and then also serving as chair of the municipal committee, correct?
That's right, yep. Yeah, and I've been on the trust since 2021.
2020, how time flies.
I know.
And have been doing just a great job, hence your new promotion. So let's talk a little bit about you first so that the viewers can get to know your background. So what do you do for a living, and how did you, what was your pipeline into the CITT? What was your interest, and what led you here?
Okay, that's
two questions.
We'll
start with the background.
So the first one is I'm an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at a law firm called Foley & Mansfield here in Miami. I recently, earlier this year, switched to a different firm, Wicker Smith. I primarily practice medical malpractice defense and civil appeals. You would not think that would lead to me on the CITT, and in fact, it probably doesn't. But what really happened was, I've lived for schooling over the years. I lived in Ithaca, New York. I've lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I've lived after law school, I went to Vienna, Austria for a few months.
So shout out to Cornell and University of Michigan, right?
Yes, yeah. There are other schools in both places, but yes, those are mine. And then I lived in Washington, D.C. before Miami. And in all of those places, obviously they're different cities, but they had, I saw how good public transit can make such a difference in how you are able to live.
Right.
And just as an aside, I had been just generally interested in city planning and architecture, but it was never, I wasn't planning on pursuing that as a career at any point. It was just, like reading Jane Jacob books. And
I didn't think anyone other than actual urban planners read Jane Jacob books. So that's good. Good to know.
Anyway, so when I moved to Miami, my husband and I did not have a car, and we lived downtown near the Overtown Metro for 3 years. No, 2 years. Then we moved to the Silver Bluff area in Miami, also without a car though. And it was very clear that Miami needs more transit.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, after being in DC, which obviously has a more robust system, connected system, they also had bike share. And I remember thinking like, wow, Miami has so many things that could make this city great in terms of transit. And it was almost like, it felt like Miami was like a teenager. Like it's like has a lot of potential, but you're not sure which direction it's going to go in. Yeah. And when we moved to the Silver Bluff area, a lot of our neighbors were upset about traffic. And I remember thinking like, well, one way that you can alleviate some traffic is if you have more or better transit.
Right.
So give people options. Not everybody's going to use transit, of course. Not everybody can use transit, but
many
people
will.
Who can
right.
will if it's there.
If
but
you
it has
build
to
it,
be
they
there.
will come.
Exactly. It has to be there though. And so anyway, I had around all that same time, Eileen Higgins was elected, and she became the head of the TPO, and obviously transit has been a big focus of her career as county commissioner, and I was following her. She was my commissioner.
Yeah.
And I remember I was watching some live stream of, I think it was a TPO meeting, and she mentioned the CITT or some project that the CITT was funding, and from there I looked it up, realized what it was, saw that this is an opportunity, it's a volunteer opportunity like you said, where I could potentially make a difference, and sort of just like use my side interest for good. And it's a community service. So I applied, and I don't know how many people she was choosing from, but she
She chose you?
okayed me. Yeah, so
And
I've
chose
been
well.
there since thank you. I've been there since 2021, and I've really enjoyed it.
So you sell yourself short because you read Jane Jacobs, you watch TPO live streams, and now you serve on the CITT. So I'm making you an honorary urban planner.
Okay, thanks.
You're officially designated.
You have a degree in that.
I
don't
have
you?
that power. I do. I
Oh,
do.
so you can totally just by osmosis.
I have a
hand it to
magic
me.
wand.
There you go. Or the gap, you gotta get the gap.
Hopefully the folks on American Planning Association aren't watching, 'cause they might disagree with that.
We'll see what extra credit I need.
Yeah. So leading into your now chairmanship, you chaired the municipal program committee. So talk about the municipal program a little bit. For those who don't know, the cities get a little over 20% of the funds. So we're collecting about $500 million a year right now. So 20% of that, this is a significant amount. If my math is correct, that's nearly $100 million. And that gets distributed to each of the cities on a population basis. So what do they do with those funds? And what did your committee do with the cities?
Yeah, so that was something else I didn't realize until I was on the CITT, how much of the CITT county money gets distributed to the cities. And I also didn't realize, even though it has the symbol on it, and maybe it wasn't there back then in 2021, but the half penny sign on the trolleys, for example, in the city of Miami or in the Gables, it's funded through the CITT money.
Right.
So what I did as chair of the municipal committee, obviously, as you know, since you participated in all these meetings, is we decided that we wanted to have each municipality present to the committee and tell us, updates. What are you doing with the money? What do you want to do with the money? What struggles or challenges are you having and facing? And then also we made it open for anybody to attend so that, the municipalities could learn from one another.
Right.
And we tried to group it where we had 3 municipalities presenting at each committee meeting, and then we would choose one to present to the full trust. But we tried to pick the 3, Mariana and I and you also, we tried to pick the 3 that are sort of contiguous or had
Right.
similar potential issues or goals. And then it actually did foster, I thought, a good, pipeline of communication, both between the OCITT, the CITT, the municipalities themselves, and then each other. Because I felt like they were really able, there were some points where they were like, oh, that's how you made that happen. That's great. We're going to try to see if we can do that in our municipality.
And I don't know if a lot of people realize we have 34 cities in this county.
It's a lot.
33 of them are receiving our funds. There's one that chooses not to. They don't seemingly need it. But that was rather ambitious to do all that in the course of a year, and yet we managed to do it under your leadership. So thank you. And to your point, we learned a lot, and they learned a lot from each other.
Yep.
That's
I thought
great.
it was certainly worthwhile.
And that was good training ground for now your new role as chair.
Yes.
So this will be your first meeting coming up next Wednesday
Yep.
at 5 p.m. Be there or tune in.
See
There are
if I
apparently
remember
people who
the
watch
rules.
these webcasts, so
There
it's
you
good
go.
to know.
Yeah, there's a Mary Street out there
There's a
watching.
Mary Street out there. So what are your hopes as the incoming chair? What do you kind of, different chairs kind of focus on different things. Some are more bike ped oriented, some are more, transit, the big projects, supporting our existing operations. What is kind of your angle coming into this? What do you hope to achieve?
So I felt like Robert was the former chair. Robert Wolfart was very into the transit-oriented development and the pushing the bigger projects and the smart plan specifically. And I actually am wholeheartedly also in line with those goals. So I feel like I'm going to be more of a continuation rather than a switch. I do obviously also think that bike ped is very important. I think that getting people in that first last mile from their house to the metro or the bus stop, of course it matters. And I fully support it. But I feel like the original intent of the CITT and of the tax, granted I wasn't here at the time, but from what I can gather, it seems that what the voters really wanted was the smart plan that wasn't called the smart plan then.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important to continue with that. And we have, we've, in the time that I've been on the trust, there are things that have been done that aren't necessarily, that are big, they aren't like the tri-rail coming into downtown.
Yep.
And I understand that the Brightline station in Aventura and Boca, and it just, things are happening. And this, South Dade BRT obviously coming up, opening. So I think more of the big projects, and the beach corridor is still not yet built. And so I think that those types of big projects would make the biggest impact. And I understand the challenge, of course, is that we don't have enough money to fund wholly these big projects. So it's getting the partnerships, getting the federal or state or private partnerships to fill the gap.
So you mentioned one of the projects that's coming online soon is the Metro Express or South Corridor Bus Rapid Transit BRT project. You'll be one of the featured speakers. So how excited are we about this? And for those who maybe haven't heard about the project, maybe give just a quick kind of overview of what it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my understanding is a gold standard BRT project that's going from Dadeland South to Florida City.
Yep.
And that the stations are built to be, we toured them, so I know they're, built to be level boarding. They have an air-conditioned vestibule. It makes it feel very high-end and like as if it's a metro rail.
Yeah.
And my understanding, too, is the stations are built in such a way that in the future, if there's enough population and funding, then it could convert even to metro rail.
Right.
And the BRT standard, it's not just a bus, it's a bus with priority during peak hours to get people where they need to go faster without being in their car on US 1. So
yeah, it's in its own exclusive lane, so you're not stuck in traffic.
Right.
To your point, particularly during peak hours, those gate arms are going to come down just like it would for a train, and the bus will whiz on through without having to wait at the light.
Yep.
So the most important thing is it's going to save people time.
Right. I think it's going to be, I know tons of people who don't use transit except for commuting to work. Like they live down in, Pinecrest or,
Right.
they drive to Dadeland South, park their car, get on the metro and go to Brickell or downtown. So this will extend, the people who can do that kind of thing and not, it could even shorten the commute. They maybe don't have to drive all the way to Dadeland South.
Right.
And B, they could just start using the metro and the
Yeah.
BRT in the first place.
Save time, and you could do work on the bus,
Yes.
or just watch YouTube, whatever you want to do.
They have internet. They
more
have internet
convenient.
and
Yeah.
plugs and air conditioning, obviously. So, yeah, it's probably a much better for everyone's blood pressure to be in those than it is to be sitting
Absolutely.
in traffic.
And for those who are sitting in traffic, this is taking additional people out of their cars
Right.
to ride that transit, which hopefully will free up the traffic flow as well. So it's a win-win.
Right.
So folks, give it a try. Honestly, we know it's a bus. It's not Metro Rail. A lot of people wanted rail, but it's going to behave very much like a train. So
And
give
the
it
bus
give
is
it a try.
Huge.
Yeah, they are the articulated buses, lots of room,
Yep.
rooms for bikes on board. So it's really going to be a great experience. And we forgot to say they're electric, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and an all-electric fleet.
Yeah.
Fleet.
It's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Which I think is, I read somewhere it's the first in the United States like that?
I think it's
Or
certainly the
second?
largest all-electric BRT system in the United States.
Yeah.
And it may be additional things to that, but yeah. So and they've been working great. Like you said, we tested them out. They're quiet.
Yeah.
They're comfortable.
Yeah.
So
It was lovely.
check it out, folks. So let's get away from the projects for a second and talk about the CITT itself. So I know one of the things we take great pride in is in informing and educating the public about what's happening with their halfpenny and with transit and transportation projects generally. So we've really placed an emphasis in community engagement. Any kind of hopes on what we might be able to either continue to do or do better or expand in that realm?
Yeah, so while I've been on the trust, the ambassador program
Yeah.
was started, and we have a dedicated staff member now, Cheryl Mizell, right, running that and running community engagement in general, and Carla Damian as well. So I think expanding on that and getting more people to participate in it
Right.
is probably the most important. Because if there are more people participating, that necessarily means more people know what we're doing and why.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a self-fulfilling thing. And I like these too. I like these podcasts.
Oh, thank you.
I won't necessarily be able to join them all the time, but you should totally continue.
You're going to be a regular now, Skip. Okay? Every other week. Pencil it in.
Okay, I'm sure my job would love that.
We could do it on the move. We'll do it there at your corporate headquarters.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I'm glad you mentioned Ambassador Program. So for those who don't know, we have this amazing, innovative program where we task our transit riders to be our eyes and ears on the system. So you apply to become an ambassador, which you can do on our website, miamidade.gov/CITT. And we're looking for people to represent every bus route, every station in the system, and even all the municipal systems, to your point earlier, the trolleys and the on-demand service. So you get access to an app. You submit your feedback on your daily observations as part of your ride. You get points for that feedback, and you can exchange those points for mobility rewards. Free Uber, free Lyft. We're working towards credits towards monthly transit passes. So really great program. Yeah. So please, if you're interested, apply. Let's see, what else is going on? Tell me about your family. If that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. So my husband, like I mentioned, his name is Matthew. We have 2 young girls.
Yeah.
We have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
One of whom has attended
almost
multiple CITT meetings.
Yes. So let's see. Cecily, the older one, when she was younger,
Yeah.
she attended multiple CITT meetings because she was the type of baby that could just sleep
Yeah, she
on
was
me
great. She
anywhere.
was great.
So I was
She
like,
did share her
okay.
input from time to time, but that's okay.
That was when, so she did not suffer in silence. She was hungry. But the other one is not as good at sleeping on me.
Okay.
Wherever. And she's really strong and really wants to move. And so I only brought her to one. That one when we were in the small room and we weren't in the commission chamber.
That's right. Yeah.
She was okay. She was a trooper. But now there's no way either. I mean, I guess Cecily could come and sit in the audience maybe.
Sure.
But Beatrix would be running up and down the
I love it.
aisles.
We have, a very long pipeline for membership at the CITT. They're being groomed
There
to
you
take
go.
over.
There you go.
Now, does having kids kind of change your perspective on, the future of Miami and the things we should be investing in, and especially as it relates, to transportation? Does it give you kind of a different perspective, or just emphasize what you already believed?
I think it emphasized what I already believed, but it also made it very personal in terms of like, I always understood that obviously not everybody can use transit, but it is more challenging to do pretty much anything with 2 children in tow. But you have to. It emphasized that transit isn't for everybody, but it's about having the choice. So about the people that can use it, when they can use it, it's there. So, I do take them, but it's like I have to have like one strapped on me and one with my husband, or one in a stroller, or both in a double stroller. But that's where the level boarding is important.
Yes,
you can roll right
the
on.
stroller. Absolutely. I would think also even just your sense of security and safety, is heightened.
Yes.
When you go with family.
Yeah, I'm probably more like Pollyanna about it, where I'm not oblivious. I can, but I don't live in fear, I guess. Is what I assume that the good will happen, that I'm not going to be, I remember when I first moved to Miami, the reason I'm saying this, I first moved to Miami and I made a comment to somebody about riding the metro. And they were like, "You ride the metro alone?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "At night?" And I'm like, "Anytime I need what?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't.
And it is
I
safe.
take my
It is
children
very safe.
on the metro and the mover. And,
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do more of that.
They
and
love
then
it.
Increasingly, I know we've had conversations with others on here who would love to have safer bicycle pedestrian infrastructure so that kids can ride to school and things, right?
So one of the things, I know it's not a CITT project, but the Underline now passes like the southern border of our neighborhood. And just this past weekend, we walked from our house to get on like the quickest path to the Underline, and then took the Underline to the Grove Central transit-oriented development.
There you go.
And, our children wake up at like 6 a.m., so there aren't many things open in Miami at 6 a.m., but Black Sheep Coffee there was. So we walked there and hung out in Black Sheep, and then walked back. And I mean, we had the stroller for the baby, and Cecily was running around, and but we were on the Underline, so it was safe. She could be weaving around, and we were able to just walk calmly and enjoy it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, one thing I know that I grew to appreciate more when I had kids was the challenges in, walking, on our sidewalks. Because, as a single male, I could walk. If there's an obstacle, I could go around it. But I had twins, so I had a double wide stroller.
That's even harder.
And just not a lot of sidewalks. Where we did have sidewalks, they weren't always connected. Cars often parked on the sidewalk, and then utilities love to put their poles and other things on those. I mean,
There's
so
random
we just
signs in the middle of the
it
sidewalk.
really was, and I always knew this to be the case, but until you experience it,
Yeah.
you don't know how bad it is.
Until you can't just hop off the sidewalk easily and get back on.
Exactly.
That's when you realize how problematic that sign and like
Yep.
3/4 of the way into the sidewalk.
And it's not just for those with kids, right? It's people with disabilities,
Wheelchair,
the elderly
yeah.
who have a hard time. So,
Yep.
it's something we definitely need to focus at doing a better job of here in Miami-Dade County.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of advocates out there.
Yeah, which we need.
Yeah. So, so you practice in a completely different industry, law and medical malpractice.
Yeah.
Any tie-ins to this at all? Have you learned anything in your
mean-
experience with the CITT that you've kind of now been able to apply?
I mean, just being a
to that
lawyer in
profession?
general, I've been able to use to the extent we're like looking at contracts or trying
Yeah.
to understand the way a project will unfold, or it is useful to be an attorney.
Yes, it is.
But it's not as if what I'm doing in my, day-to-day work is directly applicable.
Right.
But I do think being in it and understanding the way the meetings are to be run. I mean, I know it's the rules of order versus the courtroom, but it's not that different.
Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed when you ask questions, by the way, that there's that lawyerly training coming through, because you ask very good questions in a very precise manner, and
I try,
it's good to have people of that background.
Right. So that's the other thing. Sometimes I know the answer, but I think that having it be said explicitly is important, and I will often try to ask the question in a way that gets the person who's the expert
Right.
to give the public and us the benefit of the answer. And that does have some skill involved in deciding how to phrase the question, I guess.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, Madam Chair, I'm looking forward to your chairwomanship now over these next
Chairmanship is fine.
Chairmanship is okay.
It's easy.
I never know.
Yeah.
Your chairship.
Yeah,
Over these next couple of years, you've been a great member, and I know you will be a great leader of the organization. So
Thank you.
once
I'm
again,
excited.
congratulations, and thank you for agreeing to serve. I know it's a lot to take on, especially with everything you have going on. So
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to do it.
thank you, and also thank you for being a guest again on my program.
Happy to be here.
Appreciate it.
It's fun.
Folks, that is all the time we have here on Mobility Matters. We welcome you to join us every other Thursday here in these fine studios hosted by our good friends at Miami's Community Newspapers. If you want to learn more about the CITT or apply to become a trust member, much like Member Street did, or apply to become a CITT ambassador, you can find all of that information on our website at miamidade.gov/CITT. So we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Until then, keep moving, Miami.